What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about why on earth the market's looking like it's trying to bounce right now and why Tesla's, on the other hand, is looking kind of weak. Tesla's not really following the trend as much because we had some bad news. I'm going to break down how this could all play out as we have Jerome Powell giving a speech at 10 o'clock a.m., not to mention some other earnings. But before I break anything down, let me just say two things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, and then don't forget about the Moon link. The offer ends very soon. We deposit $100, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. We deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 free stocks. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla and the markets, Tesla is looking not the strongest. It's still kind of red despite the fact that SPY is pushing right now to 510, and the market's actually trying to bounce as most stocks are kind of in the green. So before I talk about that, let's talk about some data. At 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens, we have Jerome Powell giving a speech alongside the JOLTS job openings and job quits data and the wholesale inventories. All this data is going to be trumped by Jerome Powell. He's going to cause a bigger move, so get ready for his testimony. Later on during the day at 2 p.m., right here at 2 p.m., we have the Fed Beige Book coming out. I'll talk more about that later. It's another report, but for now, we're going to focus on Powell's testimony, which is going to be in front of the House. He'll be giving us more insights on interest rates and things like that. Now, when it comes to earnings, JD just announced its earnings alongside Foot Locker and EVgo. And later on today, we have some more retail ones like Victoria's Secret. JD beat quarterly revenue. Good buyback was announced that was bigger than expected, and good earnings overall. That's why the share price is up like crazy. For Foot Locker, the share price is down because unfortunately there were some losses that came out. Looking right here, EPS was better than expected, revenue was better than expected, but for the fiscal year, they're expecting profit to be worse than analysts had expected at $1.50. Excuse me, guys, I apologize. $1.50 to $1.70 for EPS versus estimates of $1.40 to $2.30. So also, they're expecting sales to be down 1% and up 1% for the fiscal 2024. So not the best of earnings for Foot Locker. For EVgo, shares are up as they beat on EPS by 5 cents, and revenue also topped estimates. And we had some positive EPS revisions with good guidance. You guys can see right here, the guidance was aligned with expectations. So share prices are up for EVgo. For other pieces of news making the headlines right now, there's a lot of talk about Jerome Powell hitting the podium at Capitol Hill. CrowdStrike, the shares were up quite a bit. I talked about this yesterday because they had better than expected earnings and guidance. There's a lot of news coming out about OpenAI. Basically, they're responding to Elon Musk. Elon Musk basically filed a lawsuit against them, saying that there's a lot of hypocrisy. They're not really holding their fundamentals properly. But OpenAI is now publishing old emails saying that Elon Musk encouraged the company to raise at least $1 billion. There's more news about that, and also not share the company's science with the public and this and that. So it is true that this could be used against Musk quite well. They did do a good job by pulling up those old emails. But you have to remember that things change and Elon Musk's opinions could also change. And then on top of this, we have to kind of look at whether or not the company's incentives and their fundamentals were the same at the time. Were they the same at that time when Musk was sending those emails out? Maybe at that time he was under the impression that they were trying to become a profitable company instead of, and they were trying to like IPO and things like that instead of being like a nonprofit. So he could have had completely different views at the time. So this could be still used against him at the same time. You have to take all those factors into consideration. And honestly, guys, you have to know the context of those emails. You can't just straight up pull up something that's from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and then use it against someone. You have to know the context of the situation. You have to understand all those other things. Musk is still filing this lawsuit against him, so we'll see how things go. Nordstrom shares are also down 10% because overall they gave a muted outlook for ahead with the full range revenues range from a 2% decline to a 1% gain. So not good for them. Additionally, when it comes to Elon Musk's German Tesla plant suffers close to $1 billion in damages after the attack by what was going on yesterday. So we had a lot of bad news for Tesla. Other analysts like Bernstein are now saying you should stay away from Tesla. They're saying to buy BYD instead. A little bit negative because of all this negative news coming up for Tesla. Don't forget about what's been happening with the Chinese sales. There's a slight decline throughout the market, affecting Tesla as well. And then there's this news about the fire that was very, very close to the German Gigafactory, and they have $1 billion worth of damages apparently. So that's not good news. That came out, which is pretty negative. We're starting to see a lot of these talks about OpenAI, the lawsuit with Elon Musk. This is also going insane. So a lot of bad news has been coming out. That's why Tesla's a little bit lackluster this morning relative to the overall market. That's going to be very, very important. So what do I think is going to happen for today? I'm going to start off with SPY and the others. I'm going to end with Tesla. Let's first talk about these. So starting with SPY, I just want to mention that SPY is looking relatively strong right now. It's pushing at 510. We have a gap to fill all the way up to 512. So it looks like it's trying to show a V-shaped recovery with nice inverse head and shoulders. Now, if we're bearish, so Jerome Powell is going to give a speech. I said yesterday the market may pop and then drop a little bit when he's about to speak and then start pushing in either direction depending on what he says. But I did say we might pop before we approach the speech, and that's what's happening so far. With this inverse head and shoulders like structure, if we're bearish, let's just say this is a fail and Powell causes the rug pull, we have to lose 508, so then we have a gap to fill at 507. If we're bullish, we want to see it hold above 510 and eventually push up to 512. This chart looks bullish. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders. Buyers are stepping in. It looks like it might push for 512 plus to fill the gap. So overall, I do favor the bulls a bit more, and that's what the chart is suggesting. But this will also depend on Jerome Powell, so be prepared. But just know the chart does look bullish. We have an inverse head and shoulders on the QQQ. If we're bearish and lose 438, we're going to fill this gap down to 436. If we break past 440, we're going to be pushing for the gap fill at 444. Overall, the chart on the QQQ looks bullish to me. It does favor another push that's going to be coming, and I do think that's very probable for the time being. Now, with Jerome Powell, I can't make any promises, but I do see this big gap appear all the way up to 444. We might try to fill that gap. Nasdaq might show some life. Jerome Powell could be the catalyst behind that. So watch and see if Jerome Powell helps this thing push more. The chart does look like it wants to push thanks to him, but just to be safe, we'll wait and see. For Nvda, Nvidia is breaking its all-time high again. What a surprise. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders. I called this out yesterday. I wasn't expecting it to push this hard. Sometimes this thing just keeps going. I thought it might kind of like push to this resistance, come down a little bit, and then see what Jerome Powell causes. But right now, it's just pushing. If we come back down, watch around this 868 area. If we lose this, we have a gap to fill all the way down to 857. If we're bullish, you want to see it continue to break out. It looks bullish right now. Break 885, then we have 892 coming, followed by the notorious 900. My gut is telling me it's going to come down a little bit and then start pushing up higher, and we could get very close to 900. The chart is looking bullish. Finally, Aapl has a lot of potential as well. Aapl has potential to bounce because you could see it was trying to base at 170, excuse me, and now it's trying to show some life. So if this thing could try to get above 172 to 172.5, a much bigger push could be coming to fill our gap all the way up to 174. If we're bearish after Jerome Powell speaks, we have to lose 170 to 168. If we're bullish, you want to see it break out and try to fill this gap up to 174. The chart does look a bit more bullish. So with the market pushing, I do think that this could help Tesla to some extent, but it's still a little bit weak because of all this negative news, so it may not be as strong as it could have been. Watch support at 178, right about here. If we lose 178 right here, I'm going to be anticipating Tesla to come all the way down towards 175 is going to be our next target. If we lose 175, watch 172.25, followed by 170 below that. So I'm going to be watching these levels very carefully. For resistance, make sure you watch 180. If we break 180, there's 182.5, 184, and then we could get closer to 188. I think what's going to happen is Tesla's going to start off kind of weak, but it might slowly follow the markets, make its way back to 180, shuffle in this range for some time, and slowly push a little bit higher. We could get close to 182.5 and then 184, come back down, trade sideways. But overall, I do think Tesla's going to push a little bit thanks to the market, but it's just not going to be as strong as it could have been because of all this bad news. All right, so we'll see what happens. Jerome Powell's about to start a speech in about 30 minutes. Market's about to open, guys, so I'm going to finish this video real quick. Get ready for Jerome Powell's speech at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens. All right, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and peace out.